November the 3rd, 2021. Guys, you're looking at satellite images over the southeast U.S. You're seeing a lot of moisture starting to build in. Now, I'm in central Mississippi. It is now 4:50 p.m. Central Time, and it's been a beautiful day. 60-degree temperatures. We were outside most of the day doing some painting and working on a greenhouse. And now it's cloudy, and the temperature is dropping very quickly, 5 degrees in the last 45 minutes or so, overcast. And you can see why. This winter storm that's moving in basically is what it is a month or maybe 2 months early for these temperature drops. We're going to look at the National Weather Service also and some of the things that are happening. You notice you've got weather coming out of Texas along the coast through southern Louisiana, now south of Louisiana, about to move into southern Mississippi. But throughout the day, even though it was really nice here in the central Mississippi, the northern part of Mississippi has been getting some moisture. But now that the temperatures are dropping, it's going to change. If you remember, guys, I did a video a few months ago talking about the scientists were saying that this is going to be the longest and coldest winter in a while, and even your Farmer's Almanac, different things like that. And we're talking about trying to recover from grand solar minimum or a solar cycle minimum during the overall cycle of grand solar minimum. At the same time, we're getting a lot of volcanic ash into the atmosphere. And that's always been the sign. Again, I hate to repeat myself. We've got a lot of new folks here. That as they've drilled through the ice cores in the Antarctica and the Arctic, they've noticed that during the great minimums where there would be years without a summer, people would migrate, crops would be lost, pretty devastating, that there was always a lot of volcanic ash that matched that year in these ice cores. And you can just type into Google ice cores with volcanic ash, and you can see very dark layers and then very clear layers where there was no ash, and they always corresponded or were correlated to the solar minimums and the cold periods of the entire northern hemisphere of our planet. But now weather's changing, and it's moving further south. I think we're looking at January weather at the 1st of November. Now, as we look at the national map, I want to go back a little bit. Probably a couple of months ago, or maybe less than that, you heard me talk about getting an extra cord of firewood on top of what I already had because of that report about this long, cold winter. I hope that, and I know many of you did because I read the comments. So many of you have prepared watching this channel for so many years. Food, water, heating, and it's been a blessing to hear your comments. And it makes me realize that I'm not just, talking into the wind, because when you see people respond, they've got water filtration systems now. Maybe they've got extra food supplies. You've got some solar panels, maybe, things like that, and extra wood and extra propane or whatever you need. Then I feel good about that, guys, because, that's what I want to do. Because I'm going to study all of these things. And for years before I was on YouTube, 12 or 13 years ago now, I did this every day. The same things you see on these videos, I checked it out every day, and I've been preparing for a very long time. But what you're looking at tonight in the dark purple areas, again, I think we're in January weather, is freeze warnings. Now, in North Mississippi along the Tennessee border, you're looking at frost advisories. You're looking at freeze watches through central Arkansas, but in northern Arkansas, freeze warnings. Here in the purple, in the top of the Texas Panhandle, Texas-Oklahoma area, you're looking at hard freeze warnings. You understand what I'm saying? And guys, I've driven through part of this area. I've been through from Dallas going up into Lubbock, Texas, all through that area, and being caught in these snowstorms. And I know what it's like. It can get up in there in the plains, guys. It can get very cold very quickly. And I was dodging snowplows out in the middle of nowhere north of Sweetwater, Texas, headed up that way. and so you guys in Texas know where I'm talking about. I call it the land of windmills and cotton fields because that's a lot of what you see, and a lot of oil wells. So there's three things there. But it can get cold very quickly, so you're in a hard freeze warning, and this is early in the year. And so it made me, I guess the reason I wanted to do it was to remind all of you what we've been talking about. Do you have the extra heating supplies? If you're depending on your electric heat only, you're going to be sadly disappointed and maybe in trouble. So there's things that you can do. Some cities, right now under the local ordinances or whatever, I know, and it's been going on for years, even towns in Alaska where you couldn't have firewood or fireplace because of so much smoke in the air. But if it were me, and I was in a place like that, probably a lot of the cities all over the U.S., then I would go ahead and get my wood burner heater. I'd get me plenty of wood and the pipe that I needed, talking about $400 for stove and pipe, simple 2-burner, and whatever wood, and get it all installed. I wouldn't light any fire until it hit the fan. And then when you saw the police knock on your door because there's smoke coming out your chimney, they're not going to be arresting you. They're going to say, "Can we come in and get warm?" I hope you understand what I'm saying, because that's the psychology of man. And so even with that, and let me say something else. There's a company called, I think it's Mr. Heater. And all of you seen the little heater, the round heater that you can screw on the top of a 5-gallon propane bottle? Well, those are for outside uses. But Mr. Heater, look it up. Home Depot has them. Has a little propane heater that it gets pretty hot, a couple of burners on it and all, and that you can hook to the small green propane bottles or any size propane bottles. And I got mine. I haven't taken it out of the box yet, just for an extra backup. But you can put any size propane to this, and you can make it super portable, again, by the small propane bottles. But that one, unlike the one that you normally see that screws on the top of a propane bottle, the Mr. Heater is made for inside. And so I just got me one just for backup, some extra propane and things like that. And guys, there's a little kit. It's not very much, less than $20, to where if you have a big propane tank or larger propane bottle, you can refill the small green ones with that valve and keep it to where you're not having to run a line outside to a propane bottle. I really wouldn't want to keep my propane bottle inside, but I did get a 10-foot flexible hose to where if I did in an emergency have to use it, I could set the bottle outside to keep more propane into that heater. But again, Mr. Heater makes one. It's going to be $60, $70 range depending on where you get it. I think Home Depot has the best prices on it. Those are the type of things that for 3 or 4 days, if you were to lose power in an ice storm or something, could really make a difference. But I'm a firm believer in the wood burners because you can cook on the top, you can get a little light, and you can stay warm. And I just wanted to put I made this go a little longer than I wanted to, but guys, we're getting into cooler times on this planet. I don't care what Al Gore says. You know, they just want some carbon tax, if you understand what I'm saying. Another way to control everything. But get ready, guys. Tonight's going to be rough. We don't know what tomorrow will be like. Depends on how much of this moisture lingers around. But you saw the clouds moving in, and if you're in a freeze warning or hard freeze warning area, then you know that that's going to accumulate on bridges and things like that, on light lines and power lines. The frost advisories, again, North Mississippi, up through Oklahoma into Kansas, and just depending on the wind, if that changes from a watch to a warning. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.